YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So having just watched Meghan and Harry's public speech at the Global Citizen Festival, I can only really conclude that it was one of the most uncomfortable, cringe-worthy public appearances that I have seen in a long time. They both stumbled on their words. They looked incredibly out of sorts. They looked incredibly overwhelmed by the audience as well. And this makes sense. Logically, it does. For Harry, it's a bit unnerving to watch because we know that he has had public speaking training. We know that he has been raised in front of the camera, essentially. He did compare his life to The Truman Show, and he has, to a certain extent, lived that life. But it was still uncomfortable, and I think that the reality of it is that Harry is pretty much looking like a rabbit in headlights these days, and he is living a lifestyle that he himself is not equipped for. And why do I say this? I say this because Harry has fame by default. He doesn't have fame by true raw talent. He has fame by birth. Meghan, on the other hand, has always been someone who has strived to have fame, who has never really cut the mustard. She's gotten trinkets here and there, and of course her marriage to Harry is her biggest acting role to date and the biggest role that she will ever play in her entire life, I believe, to a large extent. And it seems as though the cracks are beginning to appear. They both looked like they was struggling to remember their speeches that they clearly had rehearsed over and over again. There was long, uncomfortable pauses. It was so unnatural, and the audience kind of seemed perplexed as to how to kind of react to them. From what I could see, the audience was screaming, but there wasn't that flow. And this is an example of two people who have thrust themselves, ran themselves down the throats of the general public, okay? And they don't really have any real reason to be in our faces talking about the vaccine, talking about saving the world, blah, 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 blah. There's been numerous studies done and public research carried out that has concluded that people don't really understand the point of Meghan and Harry, and they don't understand the point of them trying to save the world and running around doing all this charity work in America when they're meant to be in the UK, yet they're holding on to these titles. They're worried about the line of succession, and they're now doing this weird, strange, fabricated PR kind of royal tour that is kind of like, that is missing the mark here. There's something that is off, and they themselves looked confused as to why exactly they was there. Harry was zoning in and out of consciousness with his speech. He said, of course, my wife and I, and then he also said that my wife and I believe that you do not have to be stuck where you were. You do not have to be stuck in the situation that you were born into just to survive. So he made, a reference to that awful, dreaded Africa documentary that they done, whereby Meghan said, I want to thrive, not just survive, blah, blah, blah. They flew in on private jet, which is another detail that has been picked up upon. So they're not even really trying to save the world from global warming or limit CO2 emissions. They're not really trying to do that. So it's very self-serving. She was in a frumpy dress. He was in a lousy suit. And it just seems kind of weird and random. Why was they there? The audience, it seemed as though someone was telling the audience to scream when they went quiet, and the pauses were uncomfortably long. Harry grabbed onto Meghan in a desperate kind of uncomfortable, oh my God, we're really out here and I feel like this ship is sinking. All these people are staring at me. They're not really here for us. This is weird. Why are we here? But I'm going to put soldier on anyway. And you get the general idea. It just seems quite weird. Okay, that's all I can really say. Let me get into the article. Prince Harry appeared shy while giving a speech at Global Citizen Live and pulled Meghan towards him. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex appeared on stage over the weekend to loud cheers and called on everyone to work together to end the pandemic. A source told People magazine when he referred to my wife in his address, the crowd went crazy with screaming. He seemed shy and then he pulled her into him. The crowd then loved that. Well, you can say that the crowd loved it, or was they just being subjected to it? Here's a bunch of people who essentially want to see the live performances. They want to see real stars. They want to see talented people, and they're going to scream for anything. They're in a good mood. They're having a drink. They're having something to eat. They're outside. It's been a long time. There's been a whole pandemic. We've been locked up. So of course they're going to scream. It doesn't mean that they was screaming for Meghan and Harry. A lot of public polls have revealed that they don't really have any real fans. And they certainly don't have people who are interested in their woke narrative and interested in anything that they're really doing, because they just don't understand the point of the duo. They don't understand how they can step down as senior royals, yet they are acting like they are on royal tour, yet they are acting like they're still very much a part of the royal family, yet they've trashed the royal family. Their narrative is very much discombobulated. It doesn't really make sense. Continues on here. The couple were also said to be completely invested in vaccine equity and laser focused. That was what they wanted to deliver on. After giving this speech, the couple, who live in a $14 million mansion with their son Archie and daughter, hopped on a golf cart used to ferry VIPs out of the area. Jennifer Lopez, Billie Eilish and Coldplay put on show-stopping performances as part of the Global Citizens Live Festival, which raised $1.1 billion for the cause of vaccine equity. Across the ocean, Doja Cat delivered a flashy performance, while pop star Kylie Minogue belted out her best, biggest hits for a crowd of adoring fans in England, London. They joined a jaw-dropping list of performers from 6 continents across the globe. In New York, Harry told crowds, "Guys, we have what we need to vaccinate the world." Blah, blah, blah. So it goes on to his speech. Meghan Markle had a little interception there and she said a few pointless words. And like I said, it fell flat. I'm going to get into some of the comments because the reality of it is we know that Meghan and Harry are going to be dragged for the next week for this, because people are sick and tired of seeing them. They don't understand what it's all about. Meghan Markle, of course, is still working on shedding this elusive baby weight. That's if she even really gave birth to Lily. And we're just seeing discombobulated outfits. We're seeing pointless woke narratives that we are sick and tired of, and a royal tour that nobody asked for. So someone has said the crowd loved that, ? I doubt that very much. I actually can't understand why anyone would want to listen to them at all. Just shows you how many gullible people are still out there. Someone else has said, shy, ? Please. He's more scared he'll say the wrong thing, that is, if he's allowed to speak. Now there's an article that he will be visiting New York again to honour US soldiers. How disrespectful can he be? And the people who are allowing that are insulting all the families who have lost loved ones in service, or servicemen and servicewomen who have come back minus limbs. We have become a pathetic society. Another person has said the problem is the palace made him out to be the alpha male like his grandfather, so people were shocked when he married a very dominant, opinionated woman. Turns out he's a beta in the worst way and really wanted a wife who was willing to do all the work while he sits back and relaxes. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree that Meghan is dominating, but I think that choosing the lifestyle that Harry has chosen is a lot of work. Choosing a lifestyle that is so controversial and stressful is definitely something that's a lot of work. Someone who elects consciously to be disliked, to be not, hated, essentially, is someone who's chosen a life of strife. And when we talk about Wallis Simpson, she chose in the end to live a quiet life with her husband. They wasn't popping up everywhere every 5 minutes. The problem with Meghan and Harry is that they are so desperate to be liked. They are so desperate to be visible and to be seen that essentially it makes them hard to tolerate. And that's the truth. That is the God's honest truth. So there you have it. Harry was falling apart. He seemed uncomfortable. Like I said, whatever your takeaway is from it, it was extremely uncomfortable to watch. I do encourage you to go and watch it if you haven't already. You probably have. And I guess maybe you will see what I saw. They looked confused. They had a lot of uncomfortable pauses, and it just didn't really flow in a natural way, because it's not natural. It's pointless. Everything that they've done is pointless, and it simply doesn't make sense. So with all that being said, guys, I will be back with another video. Bye, guys.